Hi. Uh, Hi. Today I'm going to go over just the very basics of rug hooking. I know there's a little video on the website already, but I just want to show you again. So if you were just learning how to hook rugs, this isn't really part of the course. It's just an extra little lesson so that for those of you who don't know or are just really fresh can get a refresher or to get a basic lesson. A lot of people start with a hoop. And if you start with a hoop, what you do is you lay your pattern over the hoop, and I'm just going to use the little beginner lighthouse pattern here. You lay that pattern over the hoop, and you lay the other part of the hoop on top, and you tighten it. And the real key to using a hoop is to make sure that you have this area tight like a drum. As tight as you can get it. That's really what you want to do. And then, in order to really show you this, how to use a hoop or a lat frame, I'm just going to have to haul my chair over here and sit down so that you can see. Just pull this one over. Okay. Basically, when you're using a hoop, you're using that hoop to make a little table. And see that little fold right there? I'm just going to fix that because that's going to cause you trouble. It's going to cause me trouble. It would cause you trouble if you were doing it. So I might as well make sure I show you how to do it right. So really taut. Okay. And the thing about a hoop is that you do have to fuss with it a little. Okay? And taking the time to fuss with it and getting it so that it's nice and smooth and taut is just right. Now this, what I'm going to show you next, is very important because it's about hand cutting wool. I usually take a swatch about 10 inches long, and this works for wool that's not really, really thick. If it's really thick, it's not going to work so well with this method. And then I fold it in 4. So it's about 2.5, 3 inches long. So 10 to 12 inches long for the. And then I take my scissors. These are a pair of $8 scissors, and they're 5.5-inch scissors. They're a short shank. Okay. I also have some that are $3.50, and they're great. And then I cut the wool like this, about 1/4 of an inch wide. So if you don't have a cutter, all you need is a pair of scissors. The strips do not have to be perfectly straight. Okay? And I'm going to cut a few more strips there. And you can cut them different widths, like if you wanted to do the door a bit wider, you could cut one a bit wider, and then some. You can really cut them quite narrow like this if you want to too. Okay, so this would be the equivalent of a 5 strip. This would be the equivalent of an 8 strip, and this would be like a 10. And they use numbers with like to describe the width of the strips, 3 being the narrowest, 10 being the largest. So now I'm going to take my strip of wool, and one of you can come in real close here to get this. And I'm going to show you how I hold the wool underneath. I take it and I'm putting it between 2 fingers, and I'm threading it between my thumb and my 3rd finger, and I'm putting it underneath my frame. And then I put my hook down and catch it like this. Okay? So now I'm going to show you from the top side. That's just so you'll know what's going on underneath. From the top side, again, there's the running between those 2 fingers and my thumb and my 3rd finger. It goes underneath the frame. But what I want to show you now is the top side. I put my hook down through the hole, and I open up that hole, and I catch the wool, and I bring the end up. And then I skip a hole, and I bring up a loop, and I skip another hole, and I bring up a loop. Sometimes I skip 1 hole, and sometimes I skip 2 or 3 holes. It's really entirely up to you. And I just keep doing that nice and slowly, and they don't have to be perfectly even. And then I bring the last piece up, and then I clip off these ends even with the other ends. Okay? So that's how I do it. Here's my hook. It has a little pad on it. You can see that, which is just from a pencil, a grab-on from a pencil. I think they're 25 for $1 at the Dollarama, and you just cut it. Now I want to show you this other frame. This is the gripper strip frame that we carry in the studio, and it's a great frame if you're going places, or if you want a portable frame. And so here we go. You're just putting your hook down. You're just putting your frame to the point where it feels comfortable for you. So I like it on a small tilt towards me. This is a lap frame, but this swivels 365 degrees. These are metal gripper strips, carding cloth actually it's called. And you put your pattern, I'm working on a little landscape here, so you just lay your pattern on top of this, and then you stretch the pattern out like this. Okay? And I'm just going to demonstrate hooking one more time by putting a little green wool in this. The only thing you have to be careful about when you're using this kind of frame is if you're using a lot of fleece, the fleece gets caught up on the carding cloth a little bit. So I'm just going to demonstrate one more time. So one of you can come in close on this one. I have my strip of wool. I put it underneath, and I bring the end up, and I'm going loop by loop by loop. And here I wouldn't be going in a straight line because I'm doing a tree, right? And we're going to talk more about that. We're doing some hills, I guess. And I'd be going in all different directions. But again, when I finish that strip, I bring the end up and I cut it off even. And that is the very basics that you need to know to get on with this course and get wild with wool. Thanks.